like that. I'll call him Hamilton.
Welcome, Rockstars, once again back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Top 10 most famous Pokemon. Here we go. Okay, these aren't my particular top 10. These have claimed to fame due to various different things via popularity, TV show, game. A bunch of different combinations have kind of sifted through all the different Pokemon, and these were the top 10 that people most recognize. And you could probably guess most of these, although there might be some that might surprise you. Number 10. Gyarados. Now, what's interesting about Gyarados is that's a type of Pokemon that I think a lot of people can relate to, because you have this small little Magikarp that really only struggles. Literally, it only struggles. Doesn't do much. Can't do much in the game. It just kind of flops around and like, oh, poor thing. But then once it evolves, get out of its way. It becomes a powerhouse. It's suddenly this massive dragon in the water that just wrecks everything. And people like Gyarados because I think a lot of people kind of like the underdog finally making it up to top. And even in Pokemon Go right now, Gyarados is considered the best water type, and I hope it stays that way, because it's the same with such recognition. And it's actually one of my favorite Pokemon as well. I will have a separate video on my top Pokemon as well. That's going to be a little bit different than this, because some of them you may not recognize or may not even know. Okay, number 9. Lugia. Surprise, surprise. Lugia is one of those Pokemon that I believe Pokemon Silver was so popular that the claim to fame for Lugia was basically in its popularity, but also its diversity in the story mode and the game mode. It was able to communicate through telepathy. So unlike other Pokemon, I didn't notice in the TV show, most Pokemon just talk by their name, like Squirtle, 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 you know, or like Eevee, or they only say their name. Even like Butterfree or Croaky, they would always just respond, like you talk to it, like Croaky, Croaky. It would just say that. Lugia was actually able to communicate through telepathy, so it was a lot smarter and not atypical of that Pokemon. Also, the combination of being a flying dragon and psychic type really made it stand out. And it was also a powerhouse in its own right, which it kind of makes sense why it was such a big deal when Lugia came out for Pokemon Go as well, because it kind of spearheaded the real raiding system. Because we had the idea of raiding, but then Lugia came out like, oh, this is the monster beast that's finally came out, and now raids are relevant in Pokemon Go again. So let's just go out. And I think Lugia was one that really stood out amongst all the others. Now, of course, the others came along, and the mythical, etc., etc. But I believe when raiding became a thing, Lugia was one that kind of championed it in a sense, like, wow, we got something that's really rare. Let's go for it. Number 8. Mew. Small little Mew. Now, I know some of you are probably still working on the Mew research on Pokemon Go, but it stands out on its own right, specifically because of its placement in the movie franchise for Pokemon and its assistance and guidance with Ash during the show. I mean, come on, look at it. It's cute. It's like, it's babyish. It's quiet. It makes cute little noises. Of course, it's going to be popular, and it's such exotic compared to other Pokemon. Like, what is this thing? That's it was surprising, interesting, different, and mysterious. And that, I think, it would really call a lot of people's attention. Like, oh, what's that? And it turns out to be actually really powerful. Yeah, and besides it being really powerful, it also led us into number 7. Well, when Mew was around to help Ash, what was he helping him against? Mewtwo.
The circumstances of one's birth are
Yep,
irrelevant.
that's right. Mewtwo is number 7 with most popular Pokemon. And I don't have to say anything about it. And actually, at this point, you don't need me to tell you why these things are popular. The closer we get to number 1, the more obvious it is. The reason why Mewtwo has its own placement, actually there's a lot of reasons. One, we see it being atypical of any other Pokemon. It has a very alien look. It's different. It's powerful. It's very intelligent. It has all these different things, and it's one of the strongest Pokemon at that time that existed, to such a point where its strength was insurmountable compared to the other typical Pokemon. When you're watching the movie, like, wow, this thing is at a whole nother level. And it really did raise the bar for all the different Pokemon. Actually, it probably raised the bar for Pokemon in general. From that point on, he was kind of like the guideline of where everything kind of fell into place, up or higher or below. Because Mewtwo, I mean, you had all these Pokemon, and Mewtwo was like, boom, try to figure this one out kind of thing. And of course, it became instant popular. Now, not indestructible or undefeatable, that was probably a different other video. But yeah, I mean, everybody knows Mewtwo. And besides his strength, is also his intelligence is by far much higher than the typical Pokemon. And it really does kind of raise the question of where does humanity fall in the world of Pokemon, that's a whole other kind of episode of thinking, because there's a lot of talk about that. On to number 6. Gengar. Interesting one, huh? Gengar. Well, a lot of it has to do with ghosts were always particularly rare, especially in the show. You didn't really hear much talk about ghosts, and they usually in the episodes kind of were always in the background or in the shadows, kind of sneaking around. But I think one of the reasons why Gengar was so popular amongst the viewers and the players is its look was a lot more friendlier. It had more of appeal to the audience. And now you can make ghosts as scary as you want, but it does. I mean, it looks spooky, but it's not cringy spooky or like gross or reaction like you want to step away. You can kind of see it being friendly, maybe a joker, but still friendly. And in the original game, the part of the novelty and really why it stuck out is you can only acquire one by trading. So I guess having it being difficult to catch kind of made it stood out as, wow, this was not something you could typically find or get on the wild. So this is kind of special. So when you call one, it really stuck like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. I didn't know I can get it this way. Number 5. Eevee. As I said, at this point, probably top 4. You're probably going to be able to guess it. But Eevee is a popular one. I mean, just look at it. Look how cute it is. Case in point, Pokemon Let's Go. You have 2 options there, and the reason why there are 2 options is because they're 2 of the most famous Pokemon. And I think the reason why Eevee was such a big hit was there's a lot of reasons. One, it's cute, it's fuzzy, it's small, it makes cute noises, but also in the gameplay, the evolutions, they even created a word for it. That's how popular it is. Evolutions was so diverse with all different types that it not only was it cute, but it was actually very powerful and very diverse. You could have all elemental types covered by this, which would make a great team edition when you're fighting in the game. Even in Pokemon Go, it's popular to the point of everybody wants a shiny, and shinies are very difficult. And considering that they haven't released all evolutions is another reason why it's popular. Everybody knows and everybody's waiting for the last 3 evolutions, and they're waiting for it. Just goes to show. Which brings us to number 4. Which may be surprising. Jigglypuff. Now, you're thinking to yourself, why Jigglypuff? Well, there's several reasons why Jigglypuff. It's still cute, but it also has some relatable traits of wanting to be a singer and being frustrated that it can't be a great singer, and the noises it makes. To the point there, it's actually provides some comic relief when you're watching the show. Just watching its frustration when it's singing and then making its noises, it became a fan favorite pretty quickly, and we can understand. Jigglypuff really does stand out. Which brings us to number 3. Now you could probably guess what these last 3 are. I'm probably not going to mention it, but I'm going to mention it anyways. Number 3, Squirtle. Squirtle. Okay, you have there's many reasons why Squirtle is the top 3. It's one of the first starters. It's cute. It can wear sunglasses. The Squirtle Squad. That in its own shows you it's pretty popular. It's a water type. It's integral to the game. It's integral to the story. It's integral to everything that's Pokemon related. Even though its evolutions kind of get sidelined a lot of times, I guess because its cuteness kind of disappears, and I think that a lot of Pokemon get affected by evolutions kind of disappearing. Like, does anybody think of it this way? Jigglypuff's evolution to Wigglytuff doesn't really look that great for the evolution. Nobody talks about it. The Wigglytuff, not as great, right? Am I right? And some of them are cute, some of them are different. Like Beldum and Metagross. That's a huge difference. But it's cool looking. It's strong. It has its components. But I'm diverging here. Squirtle. Once Squirtle kind of goes through its evolutions, it doesn't disappear, but it becomes more of the generic Pokemon grouping. But everybody recognizes Squirtle. Which brings us to number 2. You guessed it, Charizard. Now, just like Squirtle is known for its first evolution, Charizard is actually known for its final evolution. Which is kind of interesting that, I guess out of the 3, Charmander would be the next popular and Charmeleon would be the next one. Probably not the least likely. Reason being is everyone recognizes Charmander from the series, the cute little fiery tail, especially the whole storyline where its owner didn't want it anymore and its tail's going out and they need to rush to help. That was a tearjerker. But I think the reason why Charizard ekes out over Charmander is one simple fact: Mewtwo. I'm not going to spoil it just in case you haven't seen the episodes and the movies, but Charizard and Mewtwo. Just watch it and you'll know exactly why. And I think that's why Charizard actually ekes out, that was actually a phenomenally made movie, and lots and lots of YouTubes based on that. Oh, and there's probably one other side thing about Charizard, that even in the show, but not really a spoiler, he was always a troublemaker, and half the times he helped out Ash, but half the times he would kind of disobey and kind of get in his face a little bit. So it was kind of a moral of like, you start breathing fire in Ash versus actually fighting, which it's funny. So it's kind of the thing that you remember, and it's also very strong. Which brings us to number 1. Do I have to say it? You can say. I'll count down from 3 to 1. We can say it. 3, 2, 1. Pikachu. Yes, exactly. Everyone's. If you didn't guess Pikachu, then you don't know Pokemon. Period. What can I say about this? It's the brand. It's on everything. It's on hats. It's on T-shirts. It's on all the advertisement. Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go, Pocket Monsters. Everything and anything is all about Pikachu. Pikachu hats. Even in Pokemon Go, all the others have its signature sounds, but then Pikachu has the Pikachu from the show. I don't even have to say anything about Pikachu. Everybody knows about Pikachu. People don't even know Pokemon, and they know Pikachu. It's like, what's that thing? Oh, that's that Pikachu thing. And they don't even know Pokemon. They know Pikachu. Like, okay, name some Pokemon. They look at like, that's Pikachu. I'm like, no, that's not. But everyone knows this electric cute thing that just runs around, creates trouble, strong. Raichu doesn't really get much love, but or Pichu. But then again, that's, as I said, the evolutions of these things they kind of fade away from the other ones. But Pikachu is Ash's starter. You got the main, you got Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and then you're like, oh, I'm late. Who do I have? Well, we have a Pikachu, all the movies, all the shows, all the games, it's Pikachu. That's the top 10 most famous Pokemon. Hopefully you like this list, and you probably agree with me. If not, just leave a comment. This wasn't my top 10, but it's just the overall popularity top 10. So I'll catch you guys later and see you in the next video.